Hello, thanks for watching. In this video, we're going to continue talking about the introduction to simplifying rational exponents. Um, Today, we're going to actually simplify rational exponents such as 4 to the 1/2, 9 to the 1/2, 8 to the 1/3, 25 to the 1/2. And we recognize those as square roots and cube roots. But today, we're going to understand why is the square root of 4 equal to 2, or why is the square root of 9 equal to 3. Okay, we're going to do that using the laws of exponents. Just stay tuned. So before we begin, let's remember how to break a number into its prime factors. So 8 is 2 times 4, which is 2 times 2 squared, which is 2 cubed. 4 is equal to 2 squared. 16 could be broken up into 2 to the 4th. 25, we could break that into 5 squared. And 36 is 4 times 9, which is 2 squared times 3 squared. Breaking a number into prime factorizations is very important, especially when you want to use the laws of exponents to simplify rational exponents. Also recall the power rule. Okay, so here 2 to the 3rd to the 2nd, I would simply multiply the exponents and get 2 to the 6th power. Also recall, if I had 2 to the 3rd to the 2nd, then I could write that as 2 to the 3 times 2. And remember, we could always go back, okay, the other way. So if I had 2 to the 3 times 2, I could recognize that as 2 to the 3rd to the 2nd. Okay, just keep that in mind. Now that we understand those things, now it's time for us to solve a few problems. We're going to solve and simplify these rational exponents using the laws of exponents. So 8 to the 1/3, I recognize 8 as 2 times 2 times 2, which is 2 cubed, to the 1/3. And remember, if I have a power being raised to a power, I simply multiply those two exponents together. So this is 2 to the 3 times 1/3, which is 2 to the 1st power, or simply 2. Okay? Now 4 to the 1/2, 4 is 2 times 2, which is 2 squared to the 1/2. Which is 2 to the 2 times 1/2, okay, which is 2 to the 1, or simply 2. And 16 is 2 times 8, I know that 8 is 2 cubed, so this gives me 2 to the 4th power using the product rule, which is going to give me 2. Okay? Notice I skipped the step where I would multiply these exponents. Some additional problems. Of course, the numbers can get larger, so we look at 27 to the 1/3. Now we could recognize this as the cube root of 27 also. So just keep that in mind when we're looking at rational exponents. We're looking at roots, and the denominator tells us what the root is. All right, so in this case, we're looking at the cube root of 27. So here we have 27 to the 1/3. 27 is 3 times 9, and that's to the 1/3. And we know that 9 is 3 squared to the 1/3. And using the product rule, we know that this is 3 cubed to the 1/3. Okay. Now we know how to simplify these. We'll multiply these, and that would simply give us 3. Okay. And 25 is 5 times 25 to the 1/3. And I know that 25 is 5 squared. Which in this case would give me 5 cubed to the 1/3. And then after multiplying here, I would get 5. Okay, so those were straightforward, where when I took the square root, I got a whole number. When I took the cube root, I got a whole number. Well, sometimes you won't always get whole numbers. So in this case, for instance, if I were to factor 8 into its prime factors, I would get 2 cubed, where 2 cubed to the 1/2 power, I would get 2 to the 3 times 1/2. Well, 3 times 1/2 doesn't cancel out. So there's no way I can just get a whole number here. Okay? So there's something that we have to do first before we could actually simplify the square root of 8. It's going to simplify like all the others, except when I finish, I won't have a whole number. So let's see what I mean by that. Well, we just recognized that breaking it into 2 cubed doesn't help. Well, what else can I do? Well, 2 times 4 is equal to 8. Which is 2 times 2 squared. Now, one thing to keep in mind, whenever you have a rational exponent and you want to see if you can get whole numbers to factor out, you need to look for perfect squares. And in this case, 4 is a perfect square, and it's the only perfect square for this here problem. So what we're going to end up with is 2 to the 1/2 times 2 squared to the 1/2. Okay, so all I did was I applied the 1/2 power to the 2 here, and I applied the 1/2 power to the 2 here. Okay, so now we easily see that this is going to give us the square root of 2 times 2, because 2 times 1/2 is going to give us 1, and that's going to cancel out. Now we traditionally write the whole number in front of the radical. So this is going to be our answer. Okay, so the same thing goes here. 40 is 4 times 10. And we know that 10 is not a perfect square, so we can't get a whole factor from the square root of 10, but we know that 4 is a perfect square. And we're going to continue just breaking it down. So it's 2 squared times 10 to the 1/2, which is 2 squared to the 1/2 times 10 to the 1/2. Okay, well, we know that this is equal to 2, and this is just the square root of 10. So our answer is 2 times the square root of 10. Likewise, for this answer, we have 16 to the 1/3. Well, 16 is simply 2 times 8. And we know that 8 is simply 2 cubed. Now, since I have 2 cubed and I have a 1/3 exponent here, well, I know that 3 times the 1/3 is going to cancel. So I know that I'm going to get a 2 factoring out of this. Now, on the other hand, 2 to the 1/3, that won't give me a whole number, but 2 cubed to the 1/3 will. Okay, this is just the cube root of 2. And of course, this is 2. So this is going to be 2 times the cube root of 2. Because remember, we always write the whole number in front of the radical. Okay. Hopefully this has been clear. If you have any difficulty with any of these problems and you don't understand, simply review the video, go through it slowly. If you still don't understand, I'll provide my email at the end of the video. You could email me any problems that you're having, and I'll create another video to see if we could help you get past your problems. Okay, so here are some practice problems. Simply pause your video, go through the problems, and see if you could answer these problems on your own. Okay, after you've had enough time to complete your answers, here are my answers. Simply compare your answers to my answers, and if you have any difficulty understanding any of the problems, or if you have any problems and you get stuck, and if you can't figure out why you're getting stuck, again, I will provide my email at the end of the video, and you could always email me, and I could always create another video to see if I could help you through your problems. But these 3 problems are not difficult, but there are some problems where you can get stuck when you're going through it, and I understand that. Okay, so that concludes this video. It wasn't meant to be a very comprehensive video. There are some topics and concepts that I didn't cover, but I will be creating videos in the future to cover rational exponents in more depth. Thanks for watching this here video, and as a preview to the next video, I'll be tackling problems such as 8 to the 1/2 or 24 to the 1/3. We'll be looking at how do you simplify rational exponents such as those. If you had any trouble with this video, if you have any trouble with any other concepts, you could always email me at tfreeschool@yahoo.com. Just email me any problems that you're having, and we can create a dialogue, and I can create a video to see if we could help you with your problems, and then we can just go from there. Okay, so thanks for watching. Remember to like and subscribe, and I continue seeing you future.